Hello YouTube, the Kingpin of Cinema.
And the QB999.
Here we're going to bring you a latest movie review, one we just saw today, The Planet, or The Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
I'm already going to go ahead and vote this most surprising film of the summer.
I would go as far as the year.
Yeah, because whenever we saw the previews for this, we were busting up laughing going, that looks horrible.
We're just like, watching the preview and you see like this swarm of apes attacking the city of San Francisco on the Golden Gate Bridge, and they're just like, how do these guys have any chance of winning at all against guys with guns?
But you know,
call in the National Guard and it wouldn't last very long. We
came out of this movie with huge ass smiles on our faces because we enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
And everyone has been kind of agreeing. The term for the, or not the term, but the saying for this movie is, it's better than it should have been.
Well, I mean, we had like every reason to doubt this film, because we don't really care too much for remakes or reboots.
And you also have the previous remake of Planet of the Apes that was shit.
And also, this is a Fox film.
So everything was working against this movie. But little did we know, we underestimated this movie. We really did.
So, let's go through the things that we really liked about the film, and then maybe go over any possible negatives that we have. The one thing that really stands out about this movie, and it is really, really good, is the CG. My God, it's really impressive.
When you kind of look at it first, during the previews, you kind of say, okay, yeah, CG apes, it kind of looks fakeish, but eventually...
Your brain forgets that you're watching CG apes, and it's very effective. They do a really good job, because this was all done by Weta.
And of course, the things that they do want to do with the apes in the movie, they couldn't have done with real-life apes.
There's no amount of animal training in the world to accomplish anything like that.
I mean, you could hit them, and hit them, and hit them, and they just wouldn't do what you want. So, you know what, they went with the CG apes, which we think was a smart move.
Which really, really, really worked. And the lead ape, Caesar, was played by Andy Serkis, one of the hardest working men in Hollywood that you never see in anything. But you just see the CG characters he plays.
Still a really good guy, though.
Yeah,
he always does great work with just the... He can always get the movements spot on for the character he's doing.
Well, all the facial recognition stuff that, because they have equipment that they put on the actor's head that captures the facial movement and then transfers that data to an ape model, because an ape's muscle pattern is different than a human's.
Yeah.
So it translates the human movements to what it would look like on an ape. So he does a really good job.
All the CG in this, really well done.
Yeah.
It gets thumbs up from us. Good job. Good job.
This should get nominated for special effects.
It should, but it never works out that way.
I don't know what other contender there could be that would beat this out in terms of the special effects, because it's so damn impressive.
Alright. And the next thing we really liked about this was the story.
The story's really good.
It is kind of a remake of the original, or it's really a sequel to the original Planet of the Apes.
Or no, it's more of a prequel, because this can fit in with the original continuity of the Planet of the Apes films. But I think what they're doing with this is establishing a new series of Planet of the Apes. Because throughout the movie, they do have
references
to other films, but also
there's changes and difference.
There's
differences.
Yeah, well, what I want to say is in the film they have kind of like something you don't really they don't make prominent, but you do notice it. Is there's a space crew going to Mars, and then they go missing. So if you know the first Planet of the Apes, it's a space crew that get lost in space and then crash land on Earth, and it's
completely wiped out.
Yeah, that's the future. So, in a way, this will fit in with the original Ape series, but it can also establish a new series as well.
They're trying to make it its own series, which you can definitely tell.
It works both ways. So if you never get another Ape film ever again,
it still works.
It works with the original films, but if we do get but it's so well made that it does establish a new. It can establish a new series. I don't know if it will, but it might.
the character development. It's just basically showing how the apes got to be incredibly intelligent. Which, it's a regular story of guy trying to do good, trying to save his father from Alzheimer's, and in doing so, they're trying to experiment on the apes.
Well, it's because they're developing a means of curing all Alzheimer's. And so they have to experiment on chimpanzees because they're closest genetic cousins to humans. And, you can't just start out experimenting on humans because that's unethical.
Eventually, though, he basically adopts this one ape that was the child of one of the apes that was experimented on.
And it passed the genetic code to the infant, so that's why he's super smart.
And, so you get to see kind of the lifespan of this ape that goes on, which is what you'd expect. The ape eventually wants to go outside, mingle with society, and then as it gets older and older, it starts seeing itself as, like, how I really am different from both worlds, so where do I belong?
Oh, you got that. I didn't really catch that. But, things go ape shit, and he basically gets put into an enclosure, and he kind of, like...
He realizes what apes are kind of reduced to in that world.
Yeah, and so he kind of takes charge of the ape society in this enclosure, and then he steals the serum to make them all smart, so then they go out and, like, free all the apes in the city of San Francisco, which there's a lot.
And, the previous kind of suggested this was, like, an all-out war between...
It's not. They're just fighting to be free.
They're just trying to get to the forest on the other side of the bridge.
The redwoods. Yeah.
Which, I thought was an interesting twist, because it really did suggest there's, like, an all-out war going on, there's battle, there's fighting
they
in the
really don't want to
streets.
kill people. They just want to be free, and that's all that this movie boils down to, is that Caesar sees how mistreated the apes are, so
they want to just detach. Free. They just want to detach themselves.
They don't want nothing to do with human society. They just want to live in peace on their own. But then, like, circumstances set up, that kind of screws over the humans, which I'm not going to give away because it is a nice surprise that they bring in. So yeah, everything about this movie works. The acting is really good. The story is good. It's well paced. Its tone is consistent throughout the film. It doesn't pander. It doesn't have the really super annoying characters that it could have had.
Yeah, there's actually not a single one that I can think of.
Yeah, there's like really not too many cliches I can't even think of.
Well, there's a cliche of Malfoy being a bully.
No, there's that.
He bullies wizards, he bullies monkeys. Next thing there'll be a 10-year-old with leukemia. They pushes down a hill in his wheelchair. So anyway, still the biggest surprise of the summer so far for us. We really enjoyed it. We came out of there very pleased and happy. I think a majority of people have so far.
I think the audience really responded to it.
I do think it did suffer a little bit probably from just the advertisement for it wasn't as good as it should have been.
The advertisement is easily the weakest part of, like, trying to sell this film. But it's doing well enough that word of mouth is really what's going to save this movie.
Yeah. And thankfully they didn't try and do any of that CG bullshit.
Like what? I mean, the whole movie...
Oh, no, I meant
CG.
I meant 3D.
Oh, okay.
Because, there were parts of it where it seemed like they would have been watching this movie go like, you know what, we should make this 3D because some of these action scenes.
You like with the gorilla jumping at the helicopter, it's like, oh, this should be in 3D, so it looks like it's coming right at you.
Gorilla throwing, like, the manhole cover at the car. Stuff like that. So I'm grateful they didn't do that kind of bullshit.
They very easily could have been a 3D film, and thank God it wasn't. Well, I think that's all we really have to say. Go see Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Although I think they could have worked better on the title.
I like the title. It tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah. I would have preferred just The Rise of the Apes. But you know what?
That works too.
This kind of... I know they wanted to kind of let you know, hey, this is a Planet of the Apes film. Movie.
Yeah, because they needed to invoke that imagery to get people to come and see it.
Anyway, still go see it.
Yeah. Well, I can't even really think of any negatives, honestly, about the film.
To me, there seems like one or two little plot holes, but it's nothing too big, you know. It's where they're releasing all the apes, but you don't really see them, like...
Getting the serum
or anything to make them smart, but it seems like all the apes around there are completely organized like they had been. I don't know if it was something they cut out, or just...
It could have been, like, you could suggest that as he snuck out and stole the chemical, maybe he visited the zoo and did it there, too.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's, like, not even worth mentioning. It's, like, such a minor plot inconsistency. Alright, so, yeah, go see it. Thanks for tuning in.
And as usual, if you don't like it...
Okay.